Alright, this review is late, but then again, the chapter wasn't really that amazing to begin with, so it wasn't really much to talk about. Also, I suffered from a very unexplained headache, so I just didn't have the ball to roll into a review, even though I'm no longer a full-time reviewer. Or was I even a reviewer to begin with? But it's me, the Angry Myth and Despair reviewer, here with Aiden Zero chapter 178. Although the last time Labrina was talking to Rebecca before she died, and so Rebecca and Labrina goes to a different place, and just like it last time passed, after a while, suddenly Labrina begins to switch back to her bitchy side, and actually starts to pick a fight with Rebecca, almost into a sexy cat fight, so to speak. As she says, the cameras are rolling. Girls doing a cat fight in swimsuits? Well, yeah, anyone would pay for that. It is also surprisingly revealed that La Riera has actually studied martial arts, some kind of Sakura-like karate. She may have cut her hair and kept a ponytail, but apparently she can actually fight. Is that meant to foreshadow something? Of course, Rebecca doesn't fight immediately at the beginning until much later. And finally, after a little while, Rebecca finally confronts her with the big question of why has everything happened. And Labrina actually reveals all of the intentions and a little bit about their past together. Although if you ask me, this reason is not exactly the greatest reason to speak. But that has nothing to do with bad writing or anything like that. It's more of the fact that this still doesn't really put Labrina into a very high sympathy rating. But it does play on one thing that is very, very well known into our community as well as anything else: the toxicity. The fact that a lot of people, as the reason why I feel sometimes this reason may not be good is because just because you feel like that, it doesn't mean that you should have become so twisted of it all. But unlike so many other people who said that that is just so stupid, I say that it's completely sense. What I mean is, apparently Rebecca was a beekeeper way before Labrina was, and she actually looked up to Rebecca, felt like her videos was entertaining. So she got into beekeeping herself because of that. But when Labrina actually got good at beekeeping, she realized that Rebecca actually wasn't that good, and she got frustrated with that. It's likely that she became friends with Rebecca through that because she likes what Rebecca did. But when she felt like Rebecca did not improve when she did, when she was bad and she got gooder, she began to blame Rebecca on everything, feeling like she was insignificant and she was great. And also it's the fact that that Rebecca was betraying what she really was when she inspired Labrina, who became great. Because another reason why she actually held Rebecca very high in that stand way before was because Labrina has suffered from an incurable disease all her life, and beekeeping was one of the things that actually brought her a big of a joy. Seeing Rebecca doing it brought her big joys, but when she saw that Rebecca didn't videos wasn't as entertaining as before, she felt betrayed. Yes, I know that is not a good reason for her bitchiness, so to speak. But it does make sense because a lot of us, me, and I also include me in that, do that. When we feel like someone is betraying us, note, they are not betraying us, but we feel like that. When we look up to that person because that person has something we do not, we do get toxic against that person. It is human nature, people. It doesn't mean it's a good reason, but makes perfect sense. But again, this still doesn't really grant her the biggest sympathy of it all. But Rebecca is an all-loving heroine just like Shiki. So she embraces Labrina and says that maybe there is a way to cure disease. After all, they have sister. She managed to cure Klein, although that was more of a mental disease. This is a body disease, so is this meant to give some Labrina reason to join the crew? Or is this meant to bring a reason of someone which sister cannot cure? The ending of the chapter ends with Shiki talking to Holy with his crew, saying that yes, we will join alliance. However, he actually drops a very difficult demand, so to speak. He actually says to Holy that she has to stay on the ship, and if she doesn't, then the deal is off. If you ask me, that is not a good situation. And I'm not saying that because they're up against Dead End Crow and anything else, and they need an interstellar powerhouse to fight by their side. It makes perfect sense for why um, he does not trust Holy, because Holy shouldn't be trusted. It's just that leaving her on their ship, where Etherion is, where the last two Starshine Maidens are, and where the innocent people are, maybe even Rebecca later on will be, is very dangerous. Because I have a feeling this is exactly what she wants. To be on the Eden Zero ship, where she can somehow find out everything. And if she finds out they have Etherion, I wonder what will happen then. Granted, we still know nothing about it. As she doesn't seem to be surprised by this at all, because she said they're keeping on the watch. Nevertheless, she accepts that deal. And so the chapter ends. So again, Labrina's reasons for disliking Rebecca is no excuse for all of his treatment. And her sickness, yeah, well, feels a little bit strange to have that in. But I guess it does make sense. Well, someone has felt so deathly ill, so suddenly becomes so popular, it makes sense for them to become that way, I guess. And again, toxicity is such common of it all. But that's this chapter. You give me your thoughts if you have any.